All right, welcome back everyone to the Pro Pressure Point Shoot Down here at the Elite Archery Pro-Am, Uchee Creek Campground in Alabama. We're ready to get started with our women's pro class. We're going to go to Louis Holmes, who's going to bring in our archers.
All right, qualifying in our 5th spot with a 394 from Chapel Hill, North Carolina, Christine Harrelson. And qualifying in the 4th spot with a 398 from Dublin, Georgia, Kailey Johnston. And in the 3rd spot from Lapeer, Michigan, with a 398, Cara Kelly. Sitting in the number 2 spot from Wazeeka, Wisconsin with a 409, Emily McCarthy. The number 1 qualifier in the women's shoot-down from Townville, South Carolina with a 418, Sharon Wallace.
All right, Darren, we're going to see that leaderboard here in a second, but Sharon Wallace, I want to point out, look at that score, 418.
Yeah, that's great, and doing some math there, Sharon hit 12 bonus rings, so that means she hit 12 12s in qualifying, so 12 12s would be 24 up potential. She ended up with a 418, so she only shot 3 8s this weekend. She only made 3 mistakes, really. Getting through 40 targets and only minimizing the damage like she did, a 418 is a fantastic score to be top of the leaderboard.
So that score, the men's and women's pro both shot the same course. Her score there would have been on the leaderboard for the men's division.
That's awesome.
She would have lost on bonus rings, but 418 would have got her in there.
Sharon shoots at a very high level along with all these other girls out there, but a 418, she's got a 9-point lead. The wind is going to be tricky tonight, so I usually can try to predict and say, oh yeah, this should be an easy race. It's never over till it's over. That's why we shoot them all out. The wind will be a factor. This is a totally different setting than what they saw in qualification, so you just never know what's going to happen.
Yeah, this is going to be exciting. We certainly have seen Metropolis last year. We saw the wind just blow things up.
Yes. Yeah, you never know what's going to happen.
No pun intended there.
Exactly. The wind's not bad right now.
No.
I feel like sometimes it's swirling. It's hitting me from the left and it's coming in from the right. So they'll get calibrated on their yardage here and figure out the wind, aim accordingly, and this should be a pretty good shoot down.
So Sharon Wallace, there's Christine Harrelson. Let's start with her. Just missed on that bear. There's Emily.
I don't think anybody called for an upper.
Sharon Wallace did, and we'll talk about that.
Okay, gotcha.
That's a new part of her game that she and her husband Jack, who we'll see later, Jack has worked on with her to play that upper game, and Sharon said, hey, that's why I won this weekend.
Yeah, well, good for her. I have yet to figure that upper game out, so I need to go visit Jack and Sharon, it sounds like.
Did we have an archer who didn't shoot yet, or?
I'm not sure.
Cara's playing with her sight.
There's target 1.
Oh, all right. We're scoring already. We'll find out what happened on that Panther. There's a 10 for Sharon.
That's what she needs to do, is keep it in the 10 ring.
Here's the turkey. This is Emily.
Next up, Emily McCarthy, currently at 409.
You can see that line there around that. That's a core line. That's a replaceable core in that target, so that will be an 8 right there.
Now, this is the one.
As soon as our scorekeepers, our scorers, call it, Donald, hold up the number immediately.
Oh, okay, she got that.
Car was that? I'm not sure. Did Kailey shoot the Black Panther?
It might have been.
You tease.
We have a restricted view here from where we're at in the booth, so
As soon as Ken and Scott have
bear
called
with us as we
hold up the number.
call these out. There's a good 10 on that feeding doe.
You teasing
That's
me
for
now.
Cara. So Kailey.
I'm not even going to call that number. You're making me crazy.
There we go, down to that.
There's an arrow.
Oh,
Cars is now at 408.
we just missed it.
Yeah, we missed it somehow. That's right. Looks
All
like a
right,
solid-
good. I didn't want to come out here with a miss
We're
on a
like a
target.
solid 10. Good
Good.
shot for Kailey.
Yes.
Moves her to a 408.
She currently trails
And then we
Cara
saw
by
Christine
2
shoot
bonus
that
rings,
brown
which
bear. I
made-
think she's just a touch wide. We'll see what they say here in a second.
And Christine Harrelson.
She
And
did
for
get an
Christine,
8.
we have an 8 also.
That moves her to a 402 if my math's correct. Yep.
All right, so pretty much held same positions there.
Sharon did extend her lead to 11 points, and what we will do, we're going to shoot 5 targets in regulation. Any female, any archer that's within 10 points of the leader after 5 targets will get to shoot a 6th and final arrow that Louis talked about. There's a wolf back there if they decide to bring it out, but archers have to be within 10 points of the leader for that to happen. So if Sharon maintains an 11.3 lead through these 5 targets, we won't see a 6th arrow. That's always...
She said her game plan coming in was to be safe and make the other ladies catch her.
Yeah, and they do. They have to be aggressive to catch her. There's Cara always holding steady as usual. You can watch the ends of their stabilizers in those pictures and see how good they're aiming those bows. Sharon will explode in this shot here. She's putting good tension on that release, and you can see her arm fly back.
Oh, just tall.
She did go a little high on that one.
There's a little gust there, just as she shot.
That's where you want to get lucky and gust into that 14 ring.
There's Kailey Johnston.
Okay, and the target
Works
one,
as a
I have
nurse
Christine
when she is
Harrelson,
not out
currently
here
at
shooting, so
402.
she's busy.
Ooh,
Oh, there's a 12
I think Christine hit a bonus ring.
for sure.
12
There we go.
Points.
Harrelson.
That'll put her to a 414.
Next up, our leader, Sharon Wallace, currently at 428. And 10 points ahead of anybody else in the class, which was the final arrow.
That breeze is
criteria.
blowing pretty good.
Yeah.
She's got an 8 on her
Picks
next
up.
target. Might be opening a door slightly for Emily McCarthy.
She's
who's
got
currently at
room,
417.
but I'm sure
With
she
the
didn't
10
like
here,
that.
we're
No.
definitely within 10 points of our leader.
Shooting at either 12 is risky. You can see the low 12 sits low in the 10 ring, the high 12 sits high in it, obviously.
We have a 12.
If you misjudge by 1 yard,
Emily drilled that.
she
guy.
smoked it. If you misjudge one of these targets by 1 yard, that's usually about an inch per yard out there. So you have to get really close on your guesstimation to hit those rings.
That is a 4-point swing right there.
Mhm.
And now Emily is within reach.
Yeah,
She's
now it's
within
only
that 10.
7-point lead. So that's how accurate these ladies are judging. They're getting usually within 1 yard to hit those bonus rings.
For Cara Kelly.
That's incredible.
Not an easy task.
Whole other skill set out there to be
It
able
is.
to. I mean, you got to be a good archer, but then on top of that, you got to be able to judge distance.
For sure.
10 for Kailey Johnston.
10 for Kaylin, 418, and you'll see later when we get into some of the other rounds how the senior men and the open pros judged, how high their scores are. They killed it this weekend, so
Yeah.
people are judging well and they're shooting well for it to be this early in the season.
The women's pro and the open pro shot a course yesterday that was stout.
Yeah.
There were some bombs and some tricky shots, so today was a little bit easier than yesterday. It wasn't an easy course, but yesterday was rough.
And Christine Harrelson.
They didn't shoot like it was too rough. There's some pretty big
Yeah.
scores on my sheet in front of me.
I know
so-
they ran wild today. There were some. Joseph Goza, when we see him later, he really came on strong. But Sharon today, she had a real good day.
There's a good look at Emily McCarthy. You see a lot of these. She's got 4 vanes on her arrow. There's a lot of people going to a 4-fletched arrow out here. I haven't tried it yet, but there may be something to it because a lot of people are doing it. Good shot on that bear from Cara.
Yeah,
There's a
Cara.
good look at Sharon. You'll see her arm explode again. She's going to let down. She's shooting a thumb trigger release, and what she'll do when she gets to full draw, she'll wrap her thumb around that barrel, and she'll start pulling with her arm, elbow, shoulder, and extend that bow a little bit, and you'll watch this thing break. She explodes really good out of her shot. See that thumb wrap? Now she's going to start pulling with everything in her back end. Boom.
Oh. And she nailed the upper.
She knows what she's doing.
They do have a minute, we should say, to shoot, and she shot that with about 22 seconds left, so she was all right there.
They're shooting that hyena pretty well. 10 points.
10 for Kailey.
Moves her to
28?
28, yeah. I think personally, judging in these open venues like that, it's easier to get the numbers. Where we qualify with all those pines,
yeah,
it's so tough to get the distance and depth perception.
10 for Christine Harrelson.
Christine Harrelson, boy, she's wishing she had the other side of that one.
Mm-hmm. Moves her to 424.
All right, for our leader, Sharon Wallace, currently a 7-point lead.
Did she call upper? I couldn't
don't-
see her
I
cone.
don't know
She
if
did not.
she did
Oh, I
not.
bet she's kicking herself.
37.
So she goes to 446.
Now only trailing by 7 points going to this arrow, and also ahead in bonus rings, and I'm sure she's looking for another one.
That Black Panther in this bright sunlight, I can see it from here. Those rings are glowing down there. A lot of times they can't see them too well, but today they can.
Yeah, out in the woods when the shadow from the trees are on those targets, you can't hardly. You can see the rings in binoculars, but naked eye, and sometimes through your scope, you cannot see those rings. You're aiming at silhouettes.
And for Cara, we have a 10. All right, ladies.
Cara, all right. So you mentioned the scopes. So talk about that. Some archers shoot magnification.
They
Talk
do.
about that.
They do. Technology's changed this game so much. Out on the end of their sight, they have a scope, which is a magnified lens. You can get a 2-power, 3-power, 4, 5, 6, and an 8 typically. And then you can run in your peep, which is like the rear side of a rifle. The peep sight sits in the bowstring, and there's different size apertures: 3/32, 3/64, 1/16, 1/8, 3. The list goes on. And then there's little pieces of glass you can put in there, so you can literally make these targets look like you're looking through binoculars. You can zoom them in; they get really clear. Sometimes when you run a clarifier, it blurs your pin out some, but there's just a million options out there for you to get the right kind of target clarity that you're looking for, something that suits your eye. So these girls can probably see some of these rings in their scope at full draw.
And we should mention, though, the more you magnify it, the more
you
gotta
move. Yep, and you see that movement. If you can hold a bow rock steady, magnification's good.
Center 10 there on that hyena. I think that is Cara. There's Sharon
Good
back in the
10.
middle.
Yep. She just missed that upper, and she did call that one.
First up,
She's probably an 1/8 of an inch under it, I'd say.
And we should say we don't know these distances yet. We'll get it later in the known pro division, but we don't know how far. That grazing doe is the farthest, however.
For Cara.
We got a 10 on that hyena.
Next up, Kailey Johnston. The 10 here keeps her tied with Cara.
These girls are so consistent. If you've watched this in the past, you see Cara, you see Kailey, you see Sharon, you see Emily. Sometimes, you know, Christine's been in several of these, but these girls have a lot of experience and they can really play this game.
That was Kailey that shot that 12.
Moves her to
Turkey.
440, is that right? Yep.
Next up, we're going to see
8 for Christine.
Christine.
She was down in that core line there.
All right, our leader,
She's at a
Sharon
432.
Wallace, currently at 446.
All right, here's Sharon on that Black Panther.
For Christine, yeah, we have an upper 12 call.
Let's see if she got that. Oh, it's close. I think it's
Sharon?
just short. 1/8 inch maybe.
Taking a look at it.
Ten points.
10 he calls.
For Sharon Wallace.
456. So depending on what Emily does here, she's still going to enjoy the 7-point lead with a 10. Emily can cut it to 5 with a 12. She did not call upper. There's no orange cone out in front of her. She just left of the 12 there. She judged it perfect. She just hit left. 449. So Sharon still has that 7-point lead going into the 5th arrow here.
And 12 bonus rings. Emily McCarthy is at 449 and 13 bonus
Yeah, that
rings.
wind just, like right now, we just got a gust.
Has an opportunity to stay within 10 points of our leader. Kailey Johnston.
There's a good gust now. They're thankful they're not shooting right now.
It's intermittent, and like I said, I feel like it's coming from the left at times. I feel like it's coming from the right at times. Probably hard to guess where to aim out there, because it will move those arrows.
The 12 to get back into a tie with Kailey if she takes the 10. If Kailey takes a 12, Cara
Mike
needs a
Tyrell
14.
is explaining the parameters for this last arrow. Who needs what to get into that 6th arrow shoot-off, if there is one.
We'll start your 1 minute now.
Right now, if I had to guess, barring disaster, I'd say it's going to be a 2-lady shoot-off on the 6th arrow. Kailey makes such a good, strong shot. She's got a good 10 on that long deer. Took Emily a few seconds to get settled in there. There she's at full draw.
Now, you talked about Sharon's shot process.
Mhm.
Emily shoots a hinge,
Yep.
different style of
Yep.
release. Tell us about
A
that.
hinge is a hook that rides on the back of a half moon, so there's no trigger. You know, you don't put pressure on it and get it to actually trigger like a rifle trigger. You have to rotate that, and that hook slides around that moon, and once it gets to a falling off point, that hook will release. So tension is what sets that off. They call it back tension. They have to actually rotate that release. It's a surprise release. A lot of people shoot them. They're a great release to use in tournaments and to train with, but it's different than the thumb trigger.
And Emily made that one work. She inside out nailed that hyena.
12 for Emily McCarthy.
Emily did
That's
get
about
that
as
12.
good a shot as
Nice.
you can get on there.
And
So
guarantees
that's
her a final arrow.
461, is that right?
Yeah.
Yep, confirmed.
Okay, Cara Kelly currently at 438. needs
That'll
a
make the
12 badly.
last arrow more interesting if it's just a 5-point swing.
10 for Cara.
Just missed that.
10 for Cara.
10 for Cara
So
on the
these
turkey.
ladies now, Cara, Kailey, Christine, don't really have a shot at getting into that shoot-off, but
Kailey Johnston
they want 3rd
on the
place.
mid-range doe target.
There's Kailey Johnston.
Kailey on that deer. Good 10. Yeah, they're fighting for that 3rd place podium spot.
10.
Puts her to
Right now.
450, so that'll move her to 3rd, I believe.
Yeah.
For Christine Harrelson.
3rd place is important because manufacturers, whatever bow they're shooting, the bow manufacturers pay contingency on 1st, 2nd, and 3rd place, and it's thousands of dollars out here.
Thousands. Yep.
For
First
Christine.
place in this contingency can be as high as $10,000 in this division.
Yes.
Going into the 6th and final arrow.
There's an 8 for
against
Christine.
Emily McCarthy.
Moves her to a 440. My math is correct. The TV screen says my math was correct.
Sharon was gunning at this one. Did she call
Let's
up?
give all these ladies a final
She
round
didn't
of
have her
applause.
cone
No.
out there.
Boy.
Just a 10. She hit
She's
those
working
uppers.
that upper game, but she didn't call him.
Mentally, she's got that figured out.
Bonus rings, Emily McCarthy at 461 and 14
She said it makes her
bonus rings.
uncomfortable because she
Third
hasn't
place is
done it
Kailey
that
Johnston
much.
at
But
450.
It's different. We shot for
Cara
years.
Kelly
You know,
at
ASA's been
448,
around since the
and Christine
90s.
Harrelson
And the
at
upper 12 was never a thing. It wasn't even in the target.
We'll
So the
set a
low 12
target.
was the only 12 you had a chance
We'll
to
give
shoot
them
at. But
to judge,
if you get a
and
group of
Emily will
5
be
people
shooting
out there
first.
on the range in qualifying, and everybody puts their arrow in the 12 ring, the 4th and 5th guy don't even have a shot. You don't even want to shoot at it for fear of a glance out. Hit a knock and glance into an 8 or a 5. It can be bad. So the upper 12 has changed that game, and some of these guys and gals have adapted that, and they shoot all uppers. And I don't know. I'm a creature of habit. It's hard to get off that low 12.
So our 6th shot is going to be at the Brown Bear. And Don Bailey and Scott Parrott, they're going to move the shooting stake is what they'll do. They'll shoot the same target they've been shooting, but they'll move the shooting position to a different spot. Looks like Scott Parrott's going
Wow.
up quite a ways.
He's moving it up a bunch. So the 14 ring will definitely be in play now, with Emily being 5 points behind Sharon. The worst she can finish is second because there's only 2 of them left. So she really has no option other than shoot at the 14.
Scott likes the number, gives a big smile.
Let you get over to the stake.
Even if Emily hits the 14, I think Sharon, she just has to shoot a 10 to win if Emily does hit the 14. A 14 would put her at a 75. A 10 points for Sharon would put her at a 76. So having a 5-point lead at this final arrow is a pretty...
And he moved him up a good, I don't know, 10 yards possibly.
At least probably.
Yeah.
Which one? Brown bear? Yeah, brown bear.
Brown bear. We're just confirming that is the target. And boy, we just had that shot there of the target. It's lit up. You can see everything on that.
You can see Emily going side to side there. She's working a number, whether she's looking at the target, looking at the detail, looking at the ground. She's seeing how far something moves in her perception, her depth perception of that target. She'll figure out a number, and you can see how big that 14 is out there, high right of that 10 ring. So again, she's got nothing to lose. This is 14 or bust right here.
I'm sure the crowd wants to see her hit that 14.
She can miss it and still take second. So this is, I think she hits it. What do you think?
I'm going to say yes.
Okay.
Last year, she just crushed it in the shoot downs. She came in and just shot as good as anybody I've ever seen in the shoot downs. So she excels in this platform.
For those of you that don't know, her last name is McCarthy.
Yes.
She's married to Mr. Dan McCarthy. And as they said in the preview package earlier, Dan's won 6 in a row, going for 7, and he is leading.
He is leading.
So, and Sharon's married to Jack Wallace, so
we'll see him.
Yeah, we'll see him after a while. These couples, if they live together, they practice together, they probably work on equipment together. They have a really good feel for this game, and I'm sure if they do practice together, they're all helping each other.
Yeah, Emily's got her game face on. She was looking serious.
14 girl.
Get it.
Just low right of it.
Right. Good shot.
So an 8 will put her at 469. That means Sharon needs 4 points to win this tournament.
Basically hit the target.
Yeah.
You get 5.
She's feeling pretty good right now, I'd say.
Now, we want to hear the crowd start pushing her to shoot the 14. Why not?
Yeah, if she just hits the target, she wins. So not super risky. They're not too far. I don't know what their distance is, but they moved them up 10, 11, 12 yards from where they were.
I once told Jeff Hopkins that he shot the turkey in the head. I'd let him have it.
He did.
He did it.
I remember that. Roanoke, Virginia. Mike Tyrrell just said he told Jeff Hopkins in a shoot-off one time if he shot the turkey in the head, he'd give it to him, and Jeff did. That was in Roanoke, Virginia, in probably 2005, I'm guessing.
Let's see if Sharon goes for that 14. She might want to just lock it up.
She's holding so good.
Yep.
Good 10.
Go for the 10. Why not?
476 and another victory for Sharon Wallace.
That is incredible. That's a good way to finish off her weekend as well as she shot.
Yeah. And she did what she needed to do. She did shoot an 8 on that turkey out there, but she kept it in the 10 ring, having a 9-point lead. These girls really had to shoot an aggressive round, and it's not easy with a little bit of breeze out there. So Sharon put herself in a good position to win this tournament.
Absolutely, and she has won her share. There you saw her husband, Jack Wallace. He gave her a big hug and a kiss. Hey, that takes precedence over talking to us, so we certainly won't give her hay for that, but she's making her way over to the interview station. And I believe she can hear us now. Sharon Wallace.
Yes.
How's that for finishing off that weekend?
I don't even have words. I really came in this weekend with a completely different game plan because I was tired of shooting low 8s, low 5s. And I shot a lot of uppers, a lot of lowers. And if the upper was blocked, then I could shoot at the lower. So I became very versatile for this tournament. And it really helped me a lot. So, and changed a couple things on my bow. And of course, Jack has been playing uppers for years and been begging me to play uppers. And finally I gave in after Foley, and it worked out perfectly.
Hit a couple out here today even, but didn't call them.
No, didn't call them. Overjudging maybe just a tad, but I just wanted to really just stay in the 10 with the wind and everything, and I'm just over the moon, happy, very blessed, happy to be here.
Congrats on a new game plan. Do you think you'll continue to shoot this up, or are you going to try to refine that, or are you going to stay with that lower 12 game?
No, I think I'm going to keep sticking with this, and I'll probably start shooting at even more uppers. There's just a couple targets I'm still not quite used to aiming up there yet, because it took me a while to even feel comfortable, because I've been shooting at lowers for years. So I'm going to keep going at it.
Congratulations, Sharon. Good show.
Thank you so much.
Congrats. Great weekend, Sharon.
Thank you.
All right, Sharon Wallace is our Women's Pro Champion. We're going to step away for a moment. We will be right back. Next up is Senior Pro.